it, I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real, I'm feeling so ruthless. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up, it's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to rise. I'm ready to throw down, it's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise, don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top, we're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top, we're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
iRacing's virtual Pocono Raceway in Lawn Pond, Pennsylvania. Welcome, sim racing fans, to round 8 of the North American Sim Racing Association Triple M Pulling Truck Series, the Tricky Triangle 200, live on Racecraft TV. Alongside Jordan Hicks, my name is Joshua Lee, and glad all of you could join us here in the broadcast booth tonight from virtual Pocono. And all track and car cameras tonight are created by Istvan Ballo at trackcams22.com. And Jordan, we are continuing with what is safe to say an exciting championship that is brewing. Taking a look at the schedule, we are down 7 rounds going into round number 8. A lot of great tracks put behind us, but we're going to have a great stretch leading up to these playoffs.
You know, definitely. And a lot of these drivers are so high up in points as of right now, and it's just starting, and so these drivers are ready to go here tonight at Pocono, and I'm ready to get started.
Just a handful of rounds remaining before we will cut the top 16 away and they'll go fighting in the playoffs. Here's the top 10 as they currently stand, and Stephen Thomas really taking to this season, Jordan, and up front now in the points by a long shot over Robbie Richards in P2. Gonna be tough to catch up to Stephen Thomas in the 23, but taking a look at the timing sheet right now, Stephen Thomas will not be, or he is making a start tonight, down 10th currently in qualifying, about 3.5 tenths off of your current pole sitter. So it looks like a handful of drivers might have Stephen Thomas's number heading into the tricky triangle.
You know, and that's the thing. If he wants to keep that points lead, he's got to stay really consistent. Yes, he's got a big lead as of right now, but if he starts falling off that winning rate, Josh, he's going to slowly start to fall down, and a lot of people are going to start catching him. So he's sitting pretty comfortable right now, and going into this race, hopefully he has a good start, and hopefully he can continue that point lead.
And taking a look at just exactly where we are, it is Pocono Raceway, known as the Tricky Triangle because, well, it really is just that. It is the only triangle-shaped NASCAR racetrack and the only one with less than 4 turns. 3 turns around Pocono. You have the famous turn number 1, the highest banking on the course. Then you have the tunnel turn, famous for the tunnel that goes under the racing surface, creating a bit of a bump in the middle of that corner. Then the short chute into turn number 3, the flattest corner on this course. So 3 distinctly different corners, 2.5 miles in length. This track, Jordan, is the same size as Daytona and Talladega. Race is much different.
You know, definitely, and like you mentioned, those turns, you can't really get used to one because every single one's different. So you're really going to have an open mind going into every single turn, because if you mess up one, you may be good on the other, but then you could mess up on the other. So you really got to keep your eyes open and stay focused on that track.
Qualifying just about to wrap up, about 30 seconds before we will send them loose here. And tonight, of course, tomorrow being the 20th anniversary of 9/11, these drivers will sit on the grid for an extra 11 seconds to pay tribute to everybody who unfortunately lost their lives on the tragic day of September 11th, 2001. So tonight we are remembering all of those brave men and women, and we are remembering everybody who is affected by September 11th. And we're also in for some great racing in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. And as the time will expire here on qualifying, it's time to take a look at the starting grid for tonight's race from Pocono. The Tricky Triangle 200 on the pole is going to be Brady LaBeouf in the 9, a great lap from the number 9 machine, a 54.950. Only 4 1/1000ths of a second back, however, in P2 is Devin Painter in the 64. It's Keith Bradley, Michael McKinnon sharing row 2. Kyle Hess and Cody Knott going to share that 3rd row. Down the rest of the grid, we have Taylor Peacock, Raul Meza sharing row 4, Dana Shepard, Stephen Thomas on that 5th row, with Bill Lester, Tyler Dittmer on that 6th row, Jonathan Munda, Jeffrey Sickles on row 7, David Trumbley, a new face here to the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, P15, with Eric Zimmerman to his outside, Chris Cinnamon in P17, Steve Williams in P18, and down the rest of the order will be Robbie Richards, Jesse Schrage, Jose Rivera, Brandon Bullock, and Mikey Williams rounding out the field that'll be taking the green flag here from Pocono. And Jordan, the anticipation's, of course, starting to build, and going into this race, taking a look at the drivers who currently have wins this season. Robbie Richards with 2 wins. Kyle Hess with 2 wins. We have gone the last 3 rounds, 3 different winners from Darlington Gateway and the Daytona Road Course. Do you think we can see another multi-time winner here at Pocono, or is it going to continue that streak, make it 4 rounds, 4 unique race winners?
You know, definitely be cool to have a different winner every single race, but Josh, we've kept our eyes open on the 64 of Devin Painter for a few weeks now, and so I really want to say he's going to be the one to watch out tonight, but I'm really curious to know how these other drivers are going to handle this track.
And that is, of course, going to be the big question everybody is asking tonight. And talking about the racetrack again, Jordan, this track, just like you mentioned, each corner is unique. Each corner is different, and they're all based off of different racetracks around the United States as well. And here you can see all the drivers sitting on pit road for an extra 11 seconds before they roll off to pay tribute to everybody who lost their lives on September 11th. But going back to talking about this racetrack, 3 distinct corners also means that it's 3 distinct ways the truck is going to handle. Also makes it difficult to set the trucks up to be fast, and there's setups this week.
You know, definitely. So you really got to go in and approach them every single time differently. So you can't really get used just to one and keep your mind just stuck on that. So you really just got to be careful on how you do it, because especially with these trucks, they can turn in a matter of seconds. So you really got to be on your A game tonight, especially here at Pocono.
Field working their way off the pit lane. They'll work their way down the Lawn Pond straightaway. Of course, named after the city this track is located in. Here you get a good look at the entrance to the tunnel turn 2, that they will race in. Relatively flat, and you can go flat out through this corner. Not exactly the best idea under race conditions. You got to be really brave to not let off the gas or hit the brake going into the tunnel turn. Turn 3, a little bit different. You will need to let off the gas for this corner, but it's going to be pretty much a high-speed game of chicken on who is going to hit the gas first when they're working their way down that straightaway. But as they work their way into turn 3, normally they'd be coming off turn 4 to the green flag. Well, there is no turn 4 here at the Pocono Raceway. You can see on the walls what turn 4, there is none at the Tricky Triangle. It's the Tricky Triangle 200 that we're getting ready to race. The North American Sim Racing Association Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Pace truck is down and away. The green flag is out. We're racing in Pocono. One lap over and done from Pocono, and it's Brady LaBeouf that gets the early jump, and he's going to try and pull away at the front of this field, but everybody behind him trying not to let him get away too far. That is Keith Bradley sitting there in P2, the winner from 2 weeks ago. We took an off week last week, but from 2 weeks ago in the Daytona Road Course. And Jordan, I think that might help him a little bit here with Pocono, with this track being almost driving like a road course. Weird to say, but you can hear them downshifting when they're going into the corners. That downshifting and maybe taking care of the tires a little bit more when it comes to wheel spin, those things from a road course can help them here at Pocono.
You know, definitely, and that's the thing you want to do here at Pocono, is just save your tires as well as you possibly can, because once your tires are completely gone off your NASCAR truck, it may be the worst ride of your life, because especially here at Pocono, that thing will turn in a matter of seconds, and that's not what you want, especially when you're in second. but you can see the 64 of Devin Painter is on the bumper of the 18 of Keith Bradley. So, Josh, they're all spread out pretty evenly right now, but you know what? You never know what could change in the matter of laps.
Trying to keep up with this group, but as you can see, this group really is a 3-car battle for the lead. Devin Painter has had some strong runs here as of late, just hasn't been able to put it all together for a race win yet. He's going to look for that first one here from Pocono, but as his top 3 rages on, a little bit of a 2-car breakaway as Brady LaBeouf pulls away at the front with Keith Bradley behind in that number 18. They roar up and off of the corner. And you can see just trying to get that slipstream, that draft down the straightaway. You can see Brady LaBeouf moving down to the bottom. This track races similar to a restrictor plate track on the straightaways, Jordan, but when it comes to the corner, you need to have a bit of finesse, like a short track almost. And you can see this turn 1, much like an intermediate, trying to get down to the bottom goes Keith Bradley. They'll be side by side racing down the Long Pond Straight.
You know, like you said, you almost have to have so much, like you said, finesse with that turn, because that inside line, depending on where you are, can open up at any single point. And we saw the 18 of Keith Bradley try and take it. But you can see right now the 9 of Brady LaBeouf, he seems to be getting a run off that turn 2, Josh, and maybe that could be a strong spot right now, but he's really got to work on what it seems to be that turn 1, because he seems just to be running away other than turn 1. But he's got a strong field behind him, so he's just got to keep this momentum up and just learn the track a little more, and maybe he can get a perfect lap time and be one of the fastest out on the track.
Good run for LaBeouf for the moment to hold that top spot. Little bit of a side-by-side battle, a little bit further on back. Michael McKinnon there in the 13, currently running P6. Behind him, Dana Shepard, and that looks to be the number 23 of Stephen Thomas. That just went right on by. They'll continue to race now down the Long Pond Straight. Thomas able to just barely get on by. Interesting to note that Stephen Thomas started back in P10, now has worked his way up into P7 on the racetrack. So a good run so far for the 23, Jordan. Let's see if he can keep it up, as he's already positive 3 spots, but you can see front end damage to that truck as well.
And that's the thing, that could affect that truck very quickly, especially using these trucks. And so a great start, like you said, for the 23 of Stephen Thomas, but he's got to keep that momentum up. But it's definitely going to help him with some stage points, because he's made up 3 spots. If he can get up even higher, he can get more points going into that stage 1 break. And, you know, Josh, maybe walk out with that win here tonight, but that's thinking too far out of the box. So hopefully a good solid run here tonight for the 23.
He'll continue to run from P7 is Tyler Dittmer going to look to the inside of Dana Shepard for P8. He'll look to the inside and very quickly complete the pass. Doesn't look like Dana Shepard wanting to contest that just yet. And as this field continues to race on here at Pocono, we'll get a chance to look at the race analysis that we forgot to cover in the pre-show. 80 laps they'll go racing for here today, stage 1 being 20 laps, stage 2 being ending at lap number 40, and then we'll go 40 laps to the end on 80 laps completed. 4 sets of tires sitting in the pit lane, so they have 5 total, the ones on the trucks currently and the ones that they have sitting in the pit lane, and 100% fuel usage, leading to a fuel window of about 30 to 32 laps. So no fuel strategy that we'll see here in the stages, Jordan, but we're going to see fuel strategy a bit in the final stage, because they cannot make it all 40 laps on fuel.
You know, and that's the cool thing about watching these drivers race these trucks, is because when they're on that 3rd and final stage, you really don't know who's going to come down pit lane and who's going to take what within their selection of tires and their selection of fuel. So it's really a race to the end and strategy specifically. So it's always interesting watching these guys race to the finish, because you truly never know what's going to happen.
Weather conditions here at Pocono, relatively cloudy day here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Virtually, of course, in the iRacing service. 72-degree air temps, 97 on the track. Relatively slow wind, 6 miles an hour only. And track temperature dropping a handful as the Cloud cover moves in over the Pocono Raceway, and the battle for the lead going to continue to heat up as out in front. It's Brady LaBeouf in the 9, but he gets a little bit loose coming off of the first corner. That could lead to Devin Painter starting to close in, but a dominant start to the day for Brady LaBeouf here in the 9 machine. Question is, can he hold off the number 64 of Devin Painter that sits right behind him? Mentioned earlier, Jordan, the success Devin Painter has had this season, but the yellow flag is going to fly. Jonathan Munda looks like he got into an incident, and the caution flag is going to fly for the first time.
Curious to know what happened exactly to that car, as we're going to take a look at a replay once we get it. But like you were mentioning, Josh, the 64 seems like he's so fast when it comes to racing these guys, but he's not been able to edge out that win. He's gotten many stage wins before, but never been able to get that third and final stage win.
So we can grab a replay here. Jonathan Munda was involved in the incident, and it looks like he got a little bit too far up out of the groove in turn 2, and then slammed that inside wall. Not what the 00 wanted, and everybody trying to scatter. Contact made. That was the 94 of Eric Zimmerman with a hard hit, and the 24 of Steve Williams also involved. This was not a one-truck incident. This was a multi-truck incident. Nowhere for these drivers further back to go. The 00 in the middle of the track, the 97 gets hit, and Steve Williams nowhere to go from the 94 of Eric Zimmerman. Unfortunate for the rest of the drivers here towards the back that had absolutely nowhere to go, and you can see there's the hard hit. They go down to the bottom, absolutely nowhere for a lot of the drivers here in that one to go. But we go back live. The number 9 of Brady LaBeouf holds the lead at the moment. Devin Painter in the 64 in seconds. Now comes the strategy in pit road, and I say that because as of now, if they save a little bit of fuel, they might be good all the way to the end of stage number 2. Don't think they want to do that for tires, as the only taker into the pit lane is going to be the 81 of Taylor Peacock. Interesting to note how the 81 is the only driver up front to pit. The 97 of Jose Luis Rivera is going to pit, but he also has damage to that number 97 machine. But Taylor Peacock coming into the pit lane. Interesting from that number 81, Jordan. It looks like he might be going for a bit of a pit whenever I can strategy, but now he's only going to have 3 sets of tires left, unless he's planning on staying out at the end of this stage. Don't know about this strategy, and a 2-tire stop at that, he's off and away.
You know, definitely, you really got to be careful on how many tires you take, and especially how early you take them, because you come in every single caution, you're going to run out of tires just like that, and so you got to be smart on how you're taking them. But it definitely does feel good when you get that first caution and you can go into the pit road, get a new set of fresh Goodyear tires, and be solid on those next few laps. But Josh, you never know how long you're going to go, and if you go for a long amount of time, you may need a new set, which is now going to put you down to 2. So at the end of the day, it's going to put you down tires caution by caution, and just so quickly you'll lose them and you'll be out on the track with no tires in pit lane and just burnt rubber on the bottom of that NASCAR truck.
So if we say hypothetically that they're going to pit once at the end of stage number 1, once at the end of stage 2, and then one last time about midway through stage 3, then we are looking at 3 tires gone from the set of 4 they have in the pit lane. So with Peacock having 1 set already gone, he's got 3 left down there. Unless he stays out under this next stage break, I don't see this strategy working out for the 81, because then he's going to be on worn Goodyear tires, going to have to pit at lap 40, end of stage 2, and then to have that extra set left over just in case we go into overtime, because they want that extra set left in case we do go into a green-white checkered scenario, so they have some fresh rubber they can put on at the end, Jordan. That could mean the difference between a win and a loss for these guys.
You know, definitely, and especially here at Pocono, you want the best tire you can actually have, and so you can stick to that bottom line, because once you get shot up to that outside, you never know what's going to happen. You could be put into the wall, and you could just get passed and passed second by second. So a good set of new fresh Goodyear tires here tonight is the main key for these drivers.
Well, the field's going to go back to double file behind the official iRacing pace truck. They'll exit turn number 1 here at Pocono and get ready to go racing once more. They look to continue in stage number 1. Stage break coming up in about 10 laps from now, 9 laps from when we retake the green flag here onto lap number 12 of this event. Out in front, it is Brady LaBeouf, who got the $20 prize bonus from Jeff Sickles and Sick With It Motorsports. It donated 20 bucks for the pole award tonight. So Brady LaBeouf going to take that one to the bank. They're going to try and hold this lead. Your top 3 completely unchanged from how they started this race. It's LaBeouf, Painter, and Keith Bradley at the head of this field. 2 by 2, the iRacing pace truck will make its way back into the safety of pit lane. And the number 9 NRE Power Systems Chevrolet Silverado will be in control of this field. Off and away goes the pace truck. And the green flag is right on back out. We're back racing from Pocono. Down the Long Pond straightaway they go. Brady LaBeouf able to hold the lead for the moment. Let's see what happens as they dive into the tunnel turn. Everybody going to single file out for the most part, and as they race now down the short chute towards turn 3, Jordan, Keith Bradley now starting to peek his way into the battle for the lead. Top 2 out in front.
You can see he's really trying to make a move on the 9 like you mentioned, but it just seems like Brady LaBeouf is running the constant line here tonight. You can see Josh at the 13 of Michael McKinnon making a first appearance here tonight, so he's up in the top 3, passing the 64 of Devin Painter.
Great move from that number 13 machine, but you can see Devin Painter in the 64, not done. Gonna go back to the inside, gonna go for that lead. Side by side, let's see what McKinnon can do on the outside. Gonna continue to try and get his way past Devin Painter, and now Painter gonna slide back in the line in the 64. Look at Tyler Dittmer in the 4 here as well. 3 trucks racing together as they go through the tunnel turn, putting a handful of laps behind us. And as we race towards the end of this stage, Jordan, they do need to keep in mind that the end of the stage is coming up on lap 20. Don't want to wreck for those stage points.
You know, definitely these next 6 to 7 laps are going to be pretty long, because especially for the 9, because he's just going to keep that lead. But like you mentioned, they got to be really careful, because that's such a long time from now. And especially once you're leading, I've come to notice that it feels like a very, very long time before you pass that checkered, as if you won that stage or ever won that race. But you can see the 18 is definitely giving the 9 of Brady LaBeouf a run for his money. But both 2 constant and consistent drivers here tonight. But Josh, I got my money on the 9 taking home this first stage win.
We're going to see what happens here, and if LaBeouf can hold on to this stage win. Keith Bradley sitting there in second. You can see Devin Painter making a move a little bit further back, trying to get that spot away. Don't believe it is going to work out exactly how they wanted there. And they'll continue to race their way now down the front straightaway. Painter's still settling into P4, and out in front, Bradley still trying to find any possible way around the number 9 machine of Brady LaBeouf. Just nowhere for him to go, and Passing can be a little bit tricky here, Jordan. You really need to wait until the truck in front of you makes a mistake so you can poke that nose into the insider. I should say get a run down these long straightaways, because these long straightaways can be a gift in that you can use the draft to get up to the truck in front of you, but they can also be a curse because if you're too far behind, you're not going to make up any time.
You know, definitely, and you don't want to get shot out to the outside line because you're just going to get lost and a bunch of drivers are going to catch up to you. So like you mentioned, these drivers got to wait, be patient to the most that they can. Even if the 18 doesn't make a pass on the 9, he's still going to get some good points coming to the end of the stage. But these two drivers are really, really battling it out right now. As you can see, the 18 is slowly coming up to the bumper of the 9. But he's just got to wait, like he said, and wait for the 9 to make a mistake. Or if he keeps that spot, just run P2 until the end.
Down the long pond straightaway once again. About a top 5 breakaway as Bradley goes right to the back bumper of Brady LaBeouf now for the moment. Going to work their way through the tunnel turn. Nobody going to make a move just yet. They're going to stay just pretty much exactly where they are. 5 to go here in stage number 1. It'll be 4 to go when they come across the line. Still no changes to any of these positions, as keeping out in front is the number 9 machine of Brady LaBeouf, but still sitting back there now, going to try and go for the lead. It's Keith Bradley in 1. The 18 looks to the bottom. Can he complete the pass? Here's where the challenge comes in. Does he have enough down the long pond straightaway to keep up with the 9? That opening that was behind LaBeouf now to get back in line. Going to close up with Michael McKinnon as Keith Bradley's going to be stuck on the bottom. Door slammed by LaBeouf. Bradley's going to get back to P2, but that could have almost been very scary for the 18. Now it's going to become a little bit scary for Devin Painter as he looks to the bottom. Painter and McKinnon side by side off of turn 3. Bradley was able to start the move in turn number 1, Jordan, but he needed to get a better run off the corner. Did not have the speed down the long pond straightaway.
And you know, that just explains what we were talking about a few laps ago, that you can't really be left on your own because everyone was just powering through on the outside helping the 9, and the 18 was just left alone, which he almost got lucky enough. Not lucky enough, but he almost got left on the inside alone, and the 13 of McKinnon almost closed that gap to take over P2, but luckily the 18 got back in line with the 9, and he's still sitting P2 right now, but he's got to be careful when he makes those types of moves, because just because it goes right the one time doesn't mean it's going to go right the next.
Oh, Michael McKinnon looked to the inside of Bradley for that spot as they work their way through turn 3. 2 to go in the stage this time by. And across the line they go. What I'm really starting to wonder, Jordan, is how is this top 5 battle going to solve itself? Will anybody try and get past Brady LaBeouf for this stage win? How important is this stage win to these drivers? Remember, stage win will just add more points to your total at the end of the day, which can be important for these drivers if they're close to that playoff cut line.
You know, definitely, but we've been talking about this. They got to be careful on how they're going to do it. So as of right now, those 3 cars behind both the 9 and the 18, if I were them, I would definitely wait. You can see the 64 of Devin Painter get into the wall a little bit. Everyone sort of gets a reaction from that, which is going to drop the 64. Not exactly what he wanted, but that just shows you how careful you got to be here at Pocono, as we're going to take a look at the replay of what exactly happened to the 64 of Painter. And it just seems like he got shot up to the top of that track. And especially there in turn 2, you got to be really, really careful how you enter that turn, because like I said, it can just shoot you up so quick and your truck will just slam into that outside wall.
1 to go, final lap here in stage number 1, and Bradley makes a move to the bottom. He's going to be the first driver this day to clear the number 9 machine of Brady LaBeouf. Now to the bottom goes McKinnon. He goes side by side with Tyler Dittmer there in the 4, and he's gonna pull him through the tunnel turn. Dittmer's gonna go for the crossover. They almost make contact as they go down the straightaway. Dittmer gonna try and take that spot away from McKinnon as they dive into the corner. Getting a little bit too close to that door is gonna be the 4 Dittmer, but it's not gonna be enough for third. They'll drag race to the line. Your winner of the stage will be Keith Bradley. Third place is gonna go to McKinnon at the line. Dittmer gonna have to settle for 4th, and Peacock settles for P5. What a race to the line here in stage number 1. But your winner is going to be the number 18 of Keith Bradley. What a run for the Indiana native. He takes the first stage win of the day. Updates from pit road and the green flag in stage 2 when we return. You're tuning in to the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series live on Racecraft TV. Welcome back to live coverage of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. It's the Tricky Triangle 200, round number 8 of the championship from virtual Pocono. Joshua Lee, Jordan Hicks back with you here in the booth as we continue to work under caution. It's the stage number 1 break here for NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, Tricky Triangle 200. And as drivers came into the pit lane, first one out, Jose Luis Rivera. Looks to be a 2-tire stop for that number 97. He'll reach the top of the leaderboard for the first time today. Jordan, I think it's going to help him in the short term getting up to the front. He'll have some decent track position for this restart, but everybody behind him on fresh tires only going to do so much.
You know, especially you gotta when there's a stage break, it's best to just go in, get a free set of fresh Goodyear tires, and he's got so many fast racers behind him that Josh, I really think he's going to get past within that first lap. And so if he wants to fight for it, he's really got to try very, very hard because he's running on some pretty old lap tires, and it's just not going to really help him out the way he wants and thinks.
Field working their way down the lawn pond straightaway. closing in on halfway through this race, and as we work through the middle portion of this race, this is really going to be one of the biggest tests now of this race, Jordan. Stage number 2 relatively short, so it's just another short run until we have that stage break for stage 2. Then they'll be in the long run of the final stage, which these long green flag runs, we had one caution basically splitting stage number 1 in half, but if we go green to the end here in stage 2 and then green all the way to the end in stage 3, then it's going to turn into a challenge of, okay, who can get on and off a pit road quickly under green, and who is going to complete an undercut or an overcut if they try one.
You know, definitely that's going to lead to some very, very interesting racing, especially in that third and final stage. As these drivers, we've seen them many times go at it so many times, and they just never give up unless they completely get wrecked out by someone's accidental mistake. But, you know, I'm interested to watch stage 2 here as we are green flag from Pocono for stage number 2. You can see a great lead as right now from the 97 of Jose Luis Rivera.
Rivera gets a good jump. Will it be enough to hold off the charging Keith Bradley on the inside? No, it is not. Those fresh tires already going to come in handy for the 18. Right on by goes Bradley to the front. Now what is Michael McKinnon going to do as that 13 now going to try and fight around the number 97 of Jose Luis Rivera as they race down the Long Pond straightaway. Looking to the inside, he gets a great run coming down the end of the Long Pond straight, looks to the inside. McKinnon going for that second spot, gets a little bit loose. It might be 3 wide for a moment as Taylor Peacock goes all the way to the bottom. Now he runs right in third place, right behind McKinnon as Keith Bradley checks out from the field now, Jordan.
You know, definitely he's just slowly getting further and further away as everyone's just letting him get away, Josh. And so the 13 of McKinnon's really got to make a move with everybody behind them because, Josh, we saw at the Daytona Road Course last week, I believe, he just ran away with that win. So I'm curious to know if he's going to do it again here in stage 2 and just make a green flag the whole time around.
Interesting, definitely now to kind of see the Keith Bradley saga of this season come into play. Dominance at the Daytona Road Course, like you mentioned, Jordan, and dominance here at Pocono. And as he dominates here currently in the middle portion of this race, a couple drivers going side by side and a little bit close as Brady LaBeouf gets very loose through turn 2. He's able to save it almost barely, almost gets into the 86 of Kyle Hess. But as I was saying, as Raul Meza goes to the inside now of the 9, everybody fighting back here for P6. During this portion of the season, now we're seeing 2 dominant races in a row from Keith Bradley. I think one at the Daytona Road Course might have been a coincidence. Okay, he had some strong pace on a road course. Now we're at Pocono. We're going into oval races now, and Keith Bradley is continuing to dominate. I don't see this as a coincidence. I see this as maybe a coming alive of the number 18 machine, and I think everybody's going to need to start to take notes.
And, you know, definitely it looks the exact same as it did when we were live at Daytona Road Course. He's just running away, Josh, and just no one can stick with him because he just seems so fast. Because last stage we saw him stuck trying to fight the 9 of Brady LaBeouf, but now that he's free on his own, he can go as far as he wants and lead for as long as he wants because there's just no one in front of him and barely anyone behind, at least a few cars behind, and so he's just leading a free race right now. So he's just got to stay calm, run that car the way he wants to, and he can walk away with a stage win.
Robbie Richards gets a little bit too much on Dittmer. Gonna slide him into the wall. Hard hit for the 4 of Tyler Dittmer. We'll grab a Racecraft TV replay, and that was a little bit too close for comfort between those 2 drivers. Jordan, here's the replay. The 48 just got too far up into the 4 machine. There it is. There's the wall hit.
And that's the scary thing on being on the outside here at Pocono. You never know what's going to happen on that inside line with that inside car. And like we just saw, it just completely, the 48 ran him up to the wall and gave him a little bit of side damage, which may affect the aerodynamic on that car, but hopefully not enough to actually slow him down, and hopefully he can keep his position.
We'll see how he runs. Brady LaBeouf gets by. The 97 gets turned. The 23 down into the apron as well. 2 trucks around and the caution flag flies. They got tangled up coming down the Long Pond straightaway. Let's see what happened. It looks like it was actually on the short chute coming off of turn 2. We'll see if we can get a good angle here. Where was that contact made? It looked like right there. They just got a little bit too close and they tangled together, and that's all she wrote. That was relatively close contact to Jordan. I don't know if there's really anybody you can blame with that contact. They just got hooked together and nobody could get off each other.
You know, and that's the thing. He may have thought he was clear. His spotter may have said he's clear, but there could be that one little part of your car that can completely turn the other dude in front of you. And so you really got to be careful on how you're trying to make it up behind somebody, because like we just saw, just completely turned them and into the inside wall, which didn't help both of them in that situation.
Well, as we now work under the yellow flag here from Pocono, good opportunity to speak with one of the drivers in the race. It is Chris Cinnamon in the 3, joins us up here in the booth now. Chris, a relatively slow start to the race for you, but now running midway through stage 2, running in P7. How's that truck feeling out there?
Yeah, it's feeling good. Kind of disappointed in myself. I got to do a better job prepping for these races. I didn't get any practice laps in, so first stage was all learning, but it's coming. I mean, the first stage is pushing a little too much on the right front, and now I'm going to try and loosen it up a bit in this run.
Well, as this run is going to go on, of course, we still have one more guaranteed caution, and what I'm expecting everybody to come in at the stage break of stage 2. You're going to make some adjustments to that truck, try and get it to not rely so much on that front tire?
Yeah, you know, a little bit of brake bias and actually running a little bit more throttle here seems to kick that back end out a little bit. I think it's going to loosen it up on that run, so we'll see what happens. It's been a good race so far.
Well, good luck in the rest of this stage and the rest of the race, Chris. And hopefully we're talking to you in victory lane post-race.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Good to hear from the 3 of Chris Cinnamon as he works his way around Pocono Raceway under caution, still behind that official iRacing pace truck as we continue to pace our way around. Expecting to go 1 lap to green next time by. And we'll be going right back to racing. Upcoming events here in the world of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. We have Pocono Raceway, of course, tonight. 1 week's time, we'll be at the Bristol Motor Speedway. That is bound to be an exciting one. We've already been there in dirt this season. We're going to go now on pavement. Las Vegas Motor Speedway after that one. Talladega Super Speedway, always an exciting track, on October 1st. Martinsville Speedway on October 8th. Then Phoenix on October 15th. And Chicagoland on October 22nd. October 29th, we'll be heading over to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. November 5th, we'll be at the Daytona International Speedway, the Oval this time. Kansas Speedway on November 12th. Nashville Super Speedway November 19th. Then, of course, we have a break for Thanksgiving. Then we'll be right back. We're on December 3rd with the Richmond Raceway, and then the championship finale December 10th with the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So an exciting calendar still up here in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. You can catch almost every single round right here on Racecraft TV. Lights go out on the iRacing pace truck. We're getting ready to go back to racing. Just one more pace lap left. And Jordan will be going green with 10 laps to go. This is going to be a very short run to the end. Nobody coming into the pit lane under that caution except for a handful of drivers that had damage at the rear end of the field. So now everybody on the same tires they had at the start of this stage. They're going to be finishing the stage on them. Of course, assuming we don't see another caution. Knock on wood real quick. But 10 laps before the end of the stage, they know a guaranteed caution is on the horizon, expecting them to race possibly a little bit harder than they were in that first part.
You know, definitely it's going to be the next most interesting 10 laps ever, because it's the most amount of time and it's not. And so you really got to be careful with what you're doing with these final 10 laps of this stage. But Josh, I'm really looking forward to see how far the 18 of Keith Bradley is going to make it out here tonight as we go back green after we come out of turn 3.
Keith Bradley leading the field back to green. It's Michael McKinnon in second place. Taylor Peacock in third, Kyle Hess fourth, with Brady LaBeouf rounding out your top 5 on the speedway. Like Jordan mentioned, we'll go back racing off of turn 3. It'll be 10 laps to go from the virtual Pocono Raceway. Can Keith Bradley hold on to this lead? The pace truck gonna make its way down and into the pit lane. Let's see what the 18 can do from the lead here at Pocono. Pace truck down and away. Green flag shows itself again. We are racing again from Pocono, and Bradley's already gonna get an early jump and slide up in front of the number 13 of Michael McKinnon. They race down into turn number 1. Peacock looks to the inside of Kyle Hess for second. Issues further back. Stephen Thomas falling like a rock. He's going to fall all the way down to last place now, Jordan. This is uncharacteristic of the 23. Let's take a look back, see what happened on that restart.
You know, definitely this is not going to help him at all with the points. You can see everyone's just running away from him. As we're going to take a look at when we actually had our restart. You can see he's trying to make a push on everyone. Dives it down to the inside. Maybe the car ahead of him was a little too slow.
That is an iRacing penalty. I don't know if he's getting out of the way here because he does have that penalty, but if you pass the car that's in front of you on the inside before you take the green flag, or come across the start-finish line, I should say, that is a penalty. So will Stephen Thomas have to serve that? He's at the tail end of the field. I don't see any black flags cleared from the admins in the iRacing chat, but either way, Stephen Thomas falling way off the pace now.
And you know, that's just starting for a devastating night for that 23. As we were mentioning, Josh, he's got to keep that momentum up if he wants to keep that lead, but it's almost like when I said that, I jinxed him a little bit because he's having not the night at all he would ever want to think about, but he's unfortunately falling to the back, and he, like you said, he's got that penalty. But you can see the 13 of McKinnon trying to make a move on the 18. And Josh, the 18 of Keith Bradley doesn't have that big gap as he normally seems to have. So maybe the 13 did something different, but he's also followed by the 81 of Taylor Peacock.
Let's see what McKinnon has and if he can get past Keith Bradley. And a good shot here on the back tailgate of Keith Bradley, running names of all the people who lost their lives on September 11th on the back deck lid. Great to see from the over-the-top motorsports guys in the number 18 of Keith Bradley. Battle for the lead gonna fizzle out just for the moment, as Michael McKinnon gonna really have a mirror full of the 81 of Taylor Peacock. We go on board with him now, racing into the tunnel turn. And covering off that spot was McKinnon. Peacock not able to get close enough for the moment. Indiana native looking for that second spot on McKinnon, but it is going to have to wait, as Peacock is going to now sit in third and work his way up off of turn 3 and stay right there in that third spot. Field starting to space themselves out just a hair. A little bit of a battle further back as they race their way into the corner. Robbie Richards trying to catch up to the 9 of Brady LaBeouf for P5 on the racetrack. Let's see what that number 48ers machine of Robbie Richards can do. 2 wins this season, Texas and Kentucky, Jordan, but hasn't had the best of luck since round 3.
You know, definitely, and that's the thing that can really hurt you, because you just want to go for those wins, and you got to be careful how you do it, because you may overshoot it and completely ruin your chance. So you just got to stay consistent, and maybe you'll walk out with a win, or maybe a few stage wins, as it'll help you in points overall when you come out of that race.
Oh, Chris Cinnamon getting caught on the outside here in turn 3. He goes side by side with Brandon Bullock. Here comes Devin Painter now to join the fray. They race down the front straightaway, 4 cars strong. To the inside of Painter is Bullock, and side by side for the lead as they work their way through turn 1. McKinnon gonna take it. Keith Bradley gonna have to give way on the outside line. Everybody slides into single file. Now Bradley's gonna be in P2 once again, almost giving a shove to Michael McKinnon as they go into the tunnel turn. 6 trucks at the front of this field, separated between 7/10 of each other. 5 to go in the stage at the line. Jordan, I think it's safe to say everyone wants this stage win.
You know, definitely, and they're fighting hard for the stage 2 win. I'm just looking forward to see how they fight for that 3rd and final stage win, because that 3rd and final stage could mean anything. As so anyone wants to walk to victory lane and take a nice win and stroll over there, but you can see the 13 of McKinnon now showing the 18 he wants this win for stage number 2.
They continue to fight at the front of the field. Will Keith Bradley be able to get a nose to the bottom? It looks like he's going to try. Question is, can he get the run down the Long Pond straightaway that he is looking for and that he will need if he wants to walk away with this stage victory? Into the tunnel turn they go. Able to hold off Keith Bradley for the moment. 4 to go at the line. Everybody spacing out. Battle between Robbie Richards and Brady LaBeouf for the moment goes to Robbie Richards. Meza gonna fall to Chris Cinnamon. Cinnamon moves up to P7 once again. They'll stay side by side down the front straightaway. Meza gonna get a nose out in front for the moment. He will get around Chris Cinnamon down the front straightaway, back into turn 1. However, it's a different story as the 3 dives to the bottom, running that inside yellow line. Can he get up and off of the corner? No, he cannot. He is going to stay in that 8th spot, and Mez is going to take it now. Falling victim to Devin Painter is the number 3 of Chris Cinnamon. They're in now what is P number 9, and he gets loose on the inside of the tunnel turn as well. That's going to lose him one more spot. Back up front, Kyle Hess goes way up the track. Going to give a little bit of a block to Robbie Richards, Jordan, but I don't think he was trying to do that. Got a little bit either tight or loose going through turn 3. Now is the 48 of Robert Richards right behind.
You know, definitely, and that's the thing. You want to try and stay as clean as possible, but eventually here at Pocono, your car seems to just slowly slide up to the track, to the top of the track, more and more lap by lap. So you really got to be careful and really work with the people around you on what their truck's doing, and really got to think how they really race and if they would actually really block you like that. And so sometimes these cars just do it automatically on their own, and you just want to be careful and not slide that truck completely around.
On board Richards as he goes to the inside in the tunnel turn. Not going to be able to pull up side by side with Kyle S. But the 81 at Taylor Peacock is in trouble. Looks like he might have just made contact with the wall coming out of turn 2. Let's see if that is the case for the 81. I believe he got just a little bit too close to the sun. Hit the wall off turn 2. Jordan, exactly what happened. A hard hit for the 81. Doesn't look like a ton of damage, but that is going to hurt him now here in the stage. Down to P6.
And you know, that's the thing about turn 2 that we always talk about. You can't really just full send it into there like the 81 just did, because he'll just completely end into the wall and just keep on adding more damage. You can see a car around up in front. Not too sure who that is. That's the 4 of Tyler Dittmer. So curious to know what really happened to him out of turn number 1, I believe.
We'll take a look at a Racecraft's TV replay. Oh, need to go back a little bit further. It looked like he had an incident and then tried to get back going, but just couldn't. Let's see. Yeah, no, he just lost it off turn 1. Tried to save it once, tried to save it twice, and could not save it at all. Gets stopped on the inside of the track, and the caution flag has flown. This will be the break for stage 2, because as we go into the yellow flag, you can see we're on lap number 40, which was the projected final lap of stage 2. So this will be the end of stage 2. Now, Jordan, as we go into these pit stops, gonna make it incredibly interesting, because this final stage is going to be about 2 laps longer than it normally would have been.
You know, definitely it's just going to lead to these drivers wanting to push for that win. And like we saw, Josh, a new face here tonight, the 13 of Michael McKinnon taking that win tonight. And so it's definitely going to put a punch on the 18, as he probably really wanted that win here in stage number 2. But it's just going to lead to a great finish here in stage number 3.
Stage 2 win for Michael McKinnon, comes in 9th in the points, needs a good night tonight, and he is currently doing just that. Taking a short break here on Racecraft TV. More green flag action for the North American Sim Racing Association Triple M Pulling Truck Series when we return to action from virtual Pocono.
Travis Pastrana here. iRacing, Climb to the Clouds, Mount Washington Hill Climb available now. Check it out.
Welcome back to iRacing's virtual Pocono Raceway for live coverage of the Tricky Triangle 200 for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Joshua Lee back with you here in the booth alongside Jordan Hicks as we get ready to go back to racing. Lights are out on the iRacing Pace Truck here as we are under caution for a wreck going down the Long Pond straightaway off turn 1, but also under yellow flag for the stage 2 break. So, Jordan, as we sit now currently, the scope of this race has now changed because most of the field 2 stops over and done. They have used 2 sets of tires. Brady LaBeouf has only pitted once, and among the other drivers, a couple of them have pitted more times, but majority of the field has pitted twice. They have used half their tire sets. They have 2 more to use. They need to pit for fuel 1 time during this stage, and then it becomes the question of, are you going to run that tank empty, or are you going to try and cut the stage in half?
You know, definitely, and I'm actually interested to see what they're going to do for tires, because you sometimes see these drivers want to pick maybe only 2 right side tires, depending on how they're feeling, and maybe I'll just take off 4. And so, like you said, about halfway through the stage when they come down for fuel, that's where I'm thinking they're going to do it. But I'm interested to see who does it and who's going to walk away with that victory lane win here tonight.
Field looking through turn 3. Eager to go right back to racing from virtual Pocono. As they work their way through turn 3, they begin the 3rd stage of the night, and you know what that means. Racecraft TV, sounds of speed. Enjoy the sights and sounds from Pocono. on the Long Pond straightaway. Drivers hitting each other, and it looked like, I believe, the 95, or no, it was not the 95 of Bill Lester. Not sure who was involved in this incident. We'll try and find out, but it was a lot of contact towards the back of this field on that restart, Jordan.
You know, definitely, and that's the thing here at Pocono. You got to be careful on how you're taking these turns, and Josh, from what it seems like, it may be one of the cars, like you said, behind, and still trying to figure out who it is. But it is. You can just see everyone scattering across this track, and hopefully not a lot of damage to these cars, but enough damage to pull out the iRacing caution here tonight.
It looks like multiple issues. You can see 3 wide here. The 32 gets nailed. Oh, it was the 95 of Bill Lester. Got turned down to the bottom and slammed into the wall. Able to tow it back to the pit lane relatively quickly. But other than that, that is bringing out another yellow flag. And immediately after the stage break, this is definitely going to change things again, Jordan, because now they are still on relatively cold tires. I mean, 1 corner of action and about a straightaway, maybe half a straightaway on these tires. Not going to warm them up too quickly. They're just going to get cooled right back down during the yellow flag. So they're going to need to try and get those tires right back up to temperature. Another low grip restart is coming up for these guys. They need to be careful that they do not end up in an incident. This also could help them extend their fuel tanks. We might see some drivers try and make it all the way to the end.
You know, definitely it's going to lead to a crazy finish here tonight at Pocono. You can see a lot of drivers that we haven't talked about really tonight. You can see the 48, he's up in the front. That's Robert Richards. So it's a cool sight to see him up in the top 3 right now, but he's got a fierce competitor right behind him, the 18 of Keith Bradley, who is wanting that win tonight. But the 13 of Michael McKinnon is just looking so fast tonight that, you know, he's sticking out in front tonight and just running constant and consistent lap times every single lap.
Robbie Richards, of course, 2 wins on the season, Texas and Kentucky. Gonna try and go for win number 3 here tonight. Out of the top 3 in the current point standings, one of them is Robbie Richards, who runs in P2. The other one, Devin Painter, who after running up front earlier on in this race, unfortunate to say, he is into the pit lane with a ton of damage. Not what that number 64 wanted. Just looks like maybe 2 tires, fuel only, gets back out on the racetrack. Your current points leader, Stephen Thomas, in the 23, trying to rally his way back up to the front, but only good enough for P11 at the moment. We'll see how much he can work his way back up through the field and if he can continue this positive momentum. And Jordan, it's not huge that he continues this momentum, but being, I believe, 95, 93 points into the lead, it's really just important to keep the steady finishes, not get too many bad finishes in a row that your almost 100-point lead goes away just like that.
You know, definitely, and that's the thing where they say you can't really stay sort of laid back during every single race just because you have a 95-point lead on the other racers, and so you can lose that lead, like you said, within the matter of a few races. And so the 23 of Stephen Thomas, he's having about, as of right now, an okay night. You can see his lowest is 19th and his highest is 7th. He's currently sitting 11th right now, and so hopefully a very positive string of wind, I'll say, comes his way to hopefully make himself into the top. And Josh, it would even help him out more if he can hopefully get up into that top 10.
Definitely would, and that is exactly what he is going to try and do. Field comes across the start-finish line. We'll go on to lap number 46 of 80 here. 35 laps to go from virtual Pocono. Field gonna double on up, and we'll get ready to go right on back to racing. Michael McKinnon out in front. Now, McKinnon, obviously a veteran of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series and currently running there in P number 1. Great to see for that number 13 running a 911 tribute scheme as well. Another great thing to see. But running 9th in the points, Jordan, 208 points. I'm not going to compare him to Stephen Thomas. That is about 138 points separating those two. I'll compare him more to Robbie Richards. That's a little bit more feasible, about 45 points separating those two. Could be a huge finish here if he can get this win, and then hope Robbie Richards falls a little bit more down, and hope every other driver falls a little bit more down the order in front of him in points. Try and catapult himself just a little bit further up above that 16th cutoff.
You know, definitely, and that's the thing, the way you got to look at it is, so if he wants to take over that points lead, he's got to look at Cody Knott. He's at 211. Pass him up and up and slowly keep going higher and higher with the finishes he gets. And so tonight's going to definitely help him with that points and maybe even move him up a few spots, but he's just got to stay really consistent like he has been the last stage and a half, because he had a really good stage 2 and he was up there in stage number 1, but I think stage 2 and stage 3 now are going to be his strong spots here at Pocono.
Field 2x2. We're ready to go back to racing here from Virtual Pocono. 34 laps to go, just on the cusp of that fuel run. Let's see what stage 3 has for us. We're green, and let's see if we can make it more than half a straightaway here in stage number 3. The final stage of the night is green. We are racing down into turn number 1. Who is going to take that lead? It will be McKinnon, but Bradley's going to poke his nose for P2. Richards falls to 4th. LaBeouf able to get by Kyle Hess as the 86 is stuck on the outside line. He's going to be 3 wide. He's very slow. Issues for the 86. Problems for Kyle Hess. What on earth is going on to the number 86 machine? Let's see if we can find out. He's running way up against the wall. Slow as well. What on earth is going on for the 86? Let's go back to a replay.
Like we're mentioning, we're curious to know what's happening to Kyle Hess as of right now. You can see he's running slow, and it just seems like going into turn number 1, he may have been caught up into that wall. No, he's just running really, really high up there. So not too sure exactly what's been happening. We've noticed there's been a problem, Josh, this whole entire night for the 86 of Kyle Hess, and it just seems like it's just getting worse and worse as the laps go on.
It doesn't look like he has any sort of specific issue with that truck. What it looks like to me is Keith Bradley going to retake the lead now. What it looked like to me was that he just had no momentum. He exited turn one in first gear, started going down the Long Pond straightaway. Absolutely no momentum. Everybody's blowing on by him, and unfortunately he caught up in his wake with David Trumbley in the number 96. He got slowed down a bit down the straightaway. But now, as we continue to work our way through turn 3, Keith Bradley taking the lead away from Michael McKinnon. McKinnon trying to fight back on the inside. Question is, how long is he going to be able to keep that fight up? It looks like only down the straightaway as they dive back into one. Jordan, it's Keith Bradley back to the lead. Can he pull away? Here comes Brady LaBeouf, the pole sitter, to fight back for the lead.
And you know, that's the thing, just because you pull away a little bit from these drivers, you can see, we've seen previously coming out of turn 3 that the 13 of McKinnon's always there and will always be there on the 18, and it's the other way around too, so these drivers can never get away from each other. But you can see the 9 of Brady LaBeouf is making a return to the top 3 as he's going to try and make a move eventually coming down out of turn number 2, coming down to the entrance to turn 3.
Into the tunnel turn, into turn number 3 they go. Back to the front straightaway. 31 laps left at the line. And McKinnon, you can see him running right behind. Stephen Thomas makes a move on Taylor Peacock for P8. He's starting to work his way a bit more up the road here in the leaderboard. But as they run up front, Jordan, I thought maybe it was a bit of aggression coming to the end of those stages, but they're racing just about the exact same with 31 to go, so it looks like aggressive driving seems to be the name of the game. We heard from Chris Cinnamon, more on throttle time leads to these trucks being a little bit freer. I think we're definitely seeing a bit of that from other drivers in the field.
You know, definitely a lot of them are all stacked up together, which causes for a great race as they're all at least only a few tenths behind each other, if not maybe the biggest gap of like 3 tenths. And so, like I said, they're all running so close together. As Josh, like you said, this mentioned many times before, you can put a blanket on top of all 4 4 of these cars right now, and they'll be perfectly fine together. But the 18 continues to lead with 51 laps that we've done of 80. So a very great stage so far, almost to end the race here tonight.
With 30 to go, now Brady LaBeouf sitting there in third. Gonna start to think about that time when he was in the lead, and I think he wants it back as they race down the Long Pond Straight. LaBeouf right on that back bumper. Just not close enough to make the move on Michael McKinnon just yet. He's gonna stay in that third spot. Slicing and dicing a little bit further back. One car on the wall. That's the 97 of Jose Luis Rivera. No caution is called. Truck starting to scatter. But that is going to send the 97 of Jose Luis Rivera down into P17. Issues for the number 97. Take a look at a replay. Let's see exactly what happened here. Looks like Jordan, another classic case of getting too far out of the groove in the tunnel turn and just completely lost it with the lack of grip. No, actually it was contact with Taylor Peacock.
And you can just see it completely sent him into the outside wall of turn number 2. And that's definitely not what you want, because it can completely mess up that car so bad, especially when it's on that right side. You can see he's trying to keep it down, stuck to the bottom. He makes contact with the 81 and just completely sends him, no matter what, into the wall of turn number 2.
Unfortunately, the 97 Jose Luis Rivera was having a relatively good day here from Pocono, and an unfortunate way to see it end for the number 97. He's still in the race, he's still in the lead lap, but definitely going to lose a ton of time down into P17 for the moment. 28 to go at the line. It's Bradley out in front. Top 3 pulling away from each other right now, as everybody in the field starts to look to space themselves out. Devin Painter closer to the back, trying to fight with Taylor Peacock to get this spot for 10th. Not going to be close enough, but Peacock going to move a little bit up out of the groove. That door might open for the 64. No, it will not. He's going to stay there in P11. And Jordan, now looking at these battles, definitely seems like the time to go is now, because if you have a truck in front of you, you want to not space out from them, because that's what's happening in the entire field. You want to keep a car next to you that you can battle with, so you don't have to spend so much time trying to catch the truck in front of you if they're 1 second, 2 seconds up the road.
You know, and definitely when you're going for a pass as well, you got to be careful you don't get left alone, because that's the thing here at Pocono, especially. If you try and go for a pass and no one's with you, you most likely will end up on your own, and the car you were battling will run away. You can see it, the 4 making a great pass on that car behind him. And so, like I was mentioning, you really got to stay consistent with how you're passing people, and just staying really patient as well as you're coming down to these final 27 laps to go.
Chris Cinnamon able to get on by the number 23 of Stephen Thomas. Thomas still running in P7, and Jesse Schrage going battling with Raul Meza. Haven't talked much about Jesse Schrage so far today in the number 12. A relatively good day for him. Comes in 5th in the points, and as Meza goes to the bottom, Jordan, definitely not the finish I think the 12 was looking for, being 5th in the points. I think he wants to finish further up the road than 9th, but definitely not a terrible day. Expecting him to lose positions to Brady LaBeouf and Keith Bradley, but with no Cody Knott right now on the lead lap, Cody Knott being 28 laps down, looks like he'll be able to stay at least afloat in the top 8.
You know, definitely, and like you were mentioning, top 10 is not the worst that you can actually get. You can actually go a lot higher, obviously, and have a completely horrible day, but top 10, you just sort of sit there and really appreciate your car actually going for that long, because we've seen a lot of these trucks having so many problems tonight, like the 86 of Kyle Hess. We don't know what's wrong with his truck. May just be momentum, but like I said, you got to be appreciative of your car and run your race, and whatever you get, you got to be appreciative of.
And we'll give an update on Kyle Hess, because he had one of the faster laps of the race of 55.006. And you can see his last lap of the race of 56 flat. So definitely losing a ton of time. Last time by your race leader, Keith Bradley, 55.859. As Kyle Hess comes across the line looking for the 13th place on the 96 of David Trumbley. The lap time is a 55.948. So doesn't look like he's lost a ton of time or any time at all here, Jordan. Definitely think it was just a loss of momentum there for a moment that just stacked everybody up behind him. But now he has to spend so much time cutting his way back through the field. He has 8 seconds to go before that race leader, Keith Bradley.
And, you know, he's got 25 to go, 24 at the line. It's, like I've been saying this whole night, it's a lot of time, but it's really not. So you got to really push for your positions as much as you can throughout this race, because Josh, if you leave him just sitting there and you're not doing much, you're just trying to run your own race, you're going to be left behind with maybe only 3 laps to go. So you really got to make a move if you want to make up positions here tonight.
Keith Bradley, Michael McKinnon, Brady LaBeouf currently at the front of this field, trying to just hold on to the front right now is Keith Bradley. Looking to go 2 in a row. Nobody this season has gone 2 wins in a row. The only time of the season that we have had multiple winners was in round number 1, round 2, round 3, and round 4. Kyle Hess won round 2 and 4. Robbie Richards won round 1 and 3. So they alternated Richards, Hess, Richards, Hess. Then we had Scruggs, Thomas, and Bradley take the wins. So now if Keith Bradley is able to get this win here today, Jordan, back-to-back wins, first of the season for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Going to be huge for Keith Bradley, not only in the stat book, but also in the point standings.
You know, definitely, like you said, it's going to help him a lot. And, you know, he's been running a very, very great race these past, when we went to Daytona Road Course and here now at Pocono. He's just, Josh, he's so fast, and especially with only 23 to go, he hopefully has it in the bag right now, but he's got 2 fast competitors right behind him, as they seem like they're in their own little race right now. So if he wants that race win, he's got to keep up that momentum, because he's got the 13 and the 9 all right behind him, about at least 1 car length, if anything. And so you can see the 9 slowly pulling off a little bit, but once again, they are all so close together, you can't really make up room for a mistake here tonight.
Definitely trying to continue that momentum, but like you mentioned, a bit difficult to do, especially as we go into the latter portions of this race. It can become difficult to just keep moving because they've been sitting in their sim rigs or at their desk for now roughly about an hour racing, and we still have 22 to go. Morale can get just a bit low, especially if you've been going for a long period of time, if you're not particularly used to endurance racing. So these drivers need to be careful. Don't lose sight of what the goal is, because that goal could be a race win, it could be a top 5, it could just be a simple top 10 for these guys, but they can't lose sight of that goal, Jordan.
You know, definitely, and so they can get really, really antsy if they go for so long. I know I do, because you just want to get to the end lap by lap, but it just seems like it takes forever, so you really got to keep up your momentum and keep up what you're doing, because you may be in that race lead, and you definitely don't want to lose it after, like you said, an hour's worth of race time.
Field working their way back to the front straightaway. It's still Keith Bradley at the front of the field here in the top 3. It's McKinnon and Brady LaBeouf rounding out that top 3 spots, and trading positions further back as coming into the pit lane. First one down and in. It's Robbie Richards in the 48. This is a bit interesting to me, Jordan. He's going to be the first one to come in. Looks like he's taking the strategy of pitting and cutting this stage in half. We were wondering if they were going to cut it in half or go all the way to the end of the fuel run. Looks like cutting in half seems to be the move for Robbie Richards. Dana Shepard is also into the pit lane. 4 tires and fuel for the 48. He's going to be down and away.
You know, definitely, and this is going to really cause a train for all the drivers to come in eventually during, I would say, about every single lap. And so I'm interested to see how this is going to shake things up. Maybe a new leader, maybe not, but a lot of these drivers are going to get fresh new Goodyear tires and a good full tank of Sunoco fuel in their trucks.
20 to go, nobody else down and into the pit lane. We'll keep you updated on the pit lane as we go side by side. You're tuning in to Racecraft TV's coverage of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Don't go anywhere. We're staying side by side.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hickory on a beautiful 80-degree Easter Saturday.
Welcome back to live coverage of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series live on Racecraft TV. It's Joshua Lee, it's Jordan Nix back with you here in the booth, and continuing with those green flag stops, a handful of drivers working their way into the pit lane. And as we take a look at our timing tower, you can see when everybody last came in 22 laps ago for Stephen Thomas in the 23. He's now going to bring it into the pit lane. So Raul Meza, Devin Painter going to stay out on the racetrack for the time being. But now as they start to come into the pit lane, Jordan, your race leader when they started to come in was Keith Bradley. He holds the provisional lead. Question is, can Stephen Thomas, Raul Meza, or Kyle Hess get out of the pit lane before Keith Bradley comes back to the stripe?
And that's going to shake things up, especially if they do, because it's going to lead to a great race finish here tonight, because we know a lot of them are so fast here tonight, and especially when they get that chance to run up to the top of the pack with all these guys, it just encourages them to push further and further. And you can see the 18 and the 13 are both coming into turn number 1, and so it's just going to shake it up for a great race finish here tonight.
Taking the lead back, it will be the 18 of Keith Bradley once the pit stops are over and done. Devin Painter continuing to stay out on the racetrack, though. An interesting move. It looks like he wants to run it all the way to the end of this fuel tank, or he's going for a bit of an alternate strategy, but old tires on that truck, I should say. 20 lap old tires versus 2 lap old tires for Keith Bradley doesn't seem like the best move for the 64. And he's gonna try and just keep this up for the moment and lead a couple of laps. And Painter with an up and down season. We've seen some great things from this 64 in the last handful of rounds. Has been able to put it together for the first win, Jordan, but I definitely think just having some bad luck here at Pocono. They need to start picking it up. Bristol, Las Vegas, to try and keep those steady points coming in and go for that first win.
Definitely the consistency is what you really need at every single track, and so no matter if you're top 10, no matter if you're top 5, you're going to get some good points no matter what at the end of the night. So you just got to make sure you're fighting into those at least big packs of the whole field of drivers. And so when you're in that top 10, it's sort of an okay, you can sit back sort of moment and try and fight for the person in front of you, but you also got to be careful you don't lose that spot, because the positions you lose are the points you lose. So you really got to be consistent no matter where you are.
Battle for 6 on the track. Stephen Thomas has the spot. And to the inside of Robbie Richards goes Brady LaBeouf. You got a front row seat for this one as we look off the back of the number 23. LaBeouf is going to take that spot. Bit miraculously, I should say. He was a bit behind coming off of the corner. A great pull down the straightaway and goes right into P7 now on the racetrack. Your biggest movers of this race, how about Brandon Bullock? 5th place currently for that number 17. Started in 22nd. A great run, up 17 spots for the 17 of Brandon Bullock. How fitting is that one? Other drivers making their way up the field. How about Chris Cinnamon, up 13 spots. Started P17, now up to P4, also inside of the top 10. Devin Painter still holds the lead, still needs to come into the pit lane, however. Time starting to wind down, gap starting to close in as Keith Bradley going to put Taylor Peacock a lap down, but the caution flag is going to fly. Devin Painter gets a huge break as Robbie Richards gets spun around on the front straightaway. That is a huge break for Devin Painter. He won't be pitting under green. He's going to be pitting under the caution as Robbie Richards goes around on the front straightaway. Let's see what happened.
And you can see he just completely gets loose on that front stretch, tries to save it, and left and right he goes and into the inner wall, and just complete front-on damage for that 48 machine on the front stretch.
Let's see what happened going all the way through the corner. It looks like on not relatively cold tires, them being about 7 laps old, and just gets a little bit loose, tried to save it. You can see that suspension moving up, down, and every which way. Wasn't enough to keep that truck under him. Got it back going forward. Didn't look like a ton of damage to that number 48, except for that front end. That'll put us under the yellow flag, and I'm telling you who is loving this caution. It is the 64 of Devin Painter. Now comes the question that I think we need to start asking here, Jordan, is will anybody behind the 64 come into the pit lane? It is going to be huge if the 64 has drivers come in behind him to get fresh tires for this last run to the finish, because then he has the opportunity to stay at the front when normally he would have gone down to P10 or maybe worse if he would have pit under green.
You know, definitely a lot of help will actually help him out a lot here. And Josh, we know he's such a fast racer, especially when he has that lead. He never tries to give it up. But yes, he's got a lot of big competitors behind him, but this is going to change things, Josh. He's got that lead right now, and like you mentioned, he's not pitting under green. He's going to pit in under the caution, and so this is going to lead to something very interesting here to end off the night here at Pocono.
Here's something else that's interesting. No, everybody else is gonna come in. This is a gift for the 64 of Devin Painter. I thought nobody would come in, but look at everybody else on the lead lap come in. Guess who stayed out? The current points leader, Steven Thomas, stays out on the race course. Oh my goodness, we are in for a hectic finish here from Pocono. Who is going to come out of the pit lane first? Let's find out. Out they come. Devin Painter's going to come out first. Jeffrey Sickles also stays out to assume second place. Painter will restart P3. Short break on Racecraft TV. We'll be coming right back with the conclusion of this race from Pocono. You don't want to go anywhere. It's going to be a hectic final 10 laps from virtual Pocono. Field working their way through the tunnel turn here from virtual Pocono. We're getting ready to go back to racing with 10 laps to go in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Joshua Lee here with you in the booth. It's Jordan Nix to my side, and we're getting ready for a hectic final 10 laps from virtual Pocono. Out in front, Steven Thomas in the 23. After staying out on this pit stops from caution, Jeffrey Sickles to his outside, also staying out. They're a double file. We're back green. Who is going to win this race? Devin Painter, the first truck on fresh tires, already going for P2. Zimmerman spins in the back, slams the inside wall. No caution. They're 3 wide going into turn 1. Trying to get grip on the bottom. It's the 3 of Chris Cinnamon. He'll get a little bit. Falling way back is the 22 of Jeffrey Sickles. He's going to lose a ton of time. To the inside for P2 goes Keith Bradley. Jordan, this is going to be very tough for him to stick in the tunnel turn down the bottom. Trying to go full throttle. He will slide up in front of the 64.
You can see all these drivers really racing and being really antsy right now, but you can see out in front is the 23 of Stephen Thomas. But Josh, the 18 of Keith Bradley is coming for him really, really quick. As if the 23 wants to keep this lead, he's got to keep it going for the next 9 laps at the line. And he's just got to race for his life if he wants to take this win, because the 18 is on his bumper, and he's getting closer and closer second by second.
Chris Cinnamon tried to go middle 3 wide, did not work. Here comes the lead battle to the inside. It's Keith Bradley trying to take that spot. Exactly what he is gonna do. The fresh tires, no match for the old ones on the 23. Bradley takes the lead, and take a look at this battle further back. Michael McKinnon trying to get his way back up to the front of the field. Chris Cinnamon all over the back bumper of the 64 at Devin Painter. They dive into the tunnel turn. It is going to be enough for Devin Painter to take over P3. Now the question is, how much time can Devin Painter make up? He's trying to catch up to that driver you see in front of him, the 23 of Stephen Thomas. Down the front straightaway they go. Painter's going to need to get by Stephen Thomas relatively quick here, Jordan, if he wants an opportunity to catch Keith Bradley for the race win.
You know, definitely, and he's catching him really close. You can see they're all pretty spread out apart, pretty evenly actually, but you can see the 23 had a little bit of a run on the inside line, but the 64 of Devin Painter is right on him. And so, Josh, I think in the matter of the laps, this is going to just get closer and closer. As you can see, the 13 of McKinnon trying to close in on the 64 of Devin Painter, dropping down to the inside, trying to make a pass. They're side by side as the 64 is going to run it, get a little loose coming off the turn. You can see the 3 gets a little antsy right there, making a pass on the 13.
He used the 13, getting a little bit loose through the tunnel turn to his advantage, and is able to now work his way into P4. That's the 3 of Chris Cinnamon. Gonna look to get around Devin Painter now as they run their way down the front straightaway. Look at Keith Bradley pulling away at the front of this field, trying to go back to back in the win column. Be the first driver this season to do so. Nobody has anything for the 18 right now as Chris Cinnamon stays to the top side of Michael McKinnon. McKinnon gonna look to the inside to make the pass. Just not gonna be enough. Everybody single files out down the Wampon straightaway. And look at the 18 and Keith Bradley up front, Jordan. What a day for this 18 machine. Now putting a significant gap in between himself and Stephen Thomas. 1 second separating these two.
I was just about to mention, he's got a pretty good gap, like you said, in between every single person on this track right now. And we've seen it all night long that he's had the lead. He's just running away. He did it last time in Daytona Road Course. And Josh, I think the 18 of Keith Bradley is definitely the one to watch this season, because he just runs away with that lead every single week we go racing.
That is exactly what we are seeing. 2 rounds in a row. Keith Bradley being so dominant here. Didn't have the best start to the season, but definitely has started to come alive in the recent rounds. And spinning out in the back, multiple cars involved. The caution flag is gonna fly. We're gonna have a shootout to the finish of this race. Multiple drivers involved. Brandon Bullock around in the 17. Jordan, I don't think it's a cliche, but this changes everything. Multiple cars spinning. McKinnon involved in this one. Where did it start? McKinnon gets to the apron. Contact with Cinnamon. Sends everybody into each other. 3 cars spinning to the apron.
Like you said, that's going to change everything. We're going to have at least 4 or 3 to go when we go back racing. And so this is really going to open the door for a lot more drivers. You can see the 64 got loose right there. And so this is just going to be one race that is going to be one to put in the books, because everyone's going to be so close together with only, like I said, 3 or 4 laps to go at the finish line.
We'll go on board now with the number 17, Brandon Bullock. You can see he saw everything happening in front of him. Absolutely nowhere to go. The 13 ended up right in front of him. But when I mentioned that this changes everything, I definitely meant it, because when they come across the line this time by, I believe it'll be 2 to go. If nobody pits, it might end up being 1 to go. We'll have to find out, but definitely will be 2 to go no matter what. So 4, that'll put us down to 4 to go. Then on the 1 to go lap in this caution, it'll be 3 to go. Then on the green flag, it is going to be 2 to go. So if you thought that that restart in those laps were hectic, we had a 10 lap to go restart there. Jordan, we're about to have a 2 laps to go restart, a natural green-white checkered finish. We won't go into overtime, but we will have 2 laps to go here. And this is going to be an intense finish to the line.
And you know, a lot of pressure is going to be put on a lot of these drivers. You can see the 64 not dropping down to pit lane, trying to see what everyone wants to do, but this is a lot of pressure for the 18, and it's going to open the door for the 23, Josh, because we've been seeing Stephen Thomas. He's been fighting so hard tonight. He went all the way to the back, and he's all the way up here in P2, so he's really got a lot of pressure on him. He's got a lot of eyes watching for every single person out here on the track. Everyone's watching, and so this is going to be a restart to remember here tonight, and no other to do it at Pocono.
It will be exactly a 2 laps to go finish. Not going into overtime, but we are pretty much going to see a green-white checkered finish. And exactly, I don't want to say we expected it, Jordan, but we saw a lot of intense racing there. I did not think we would go green to the end off of that 10 lap to go restart. Now with 2 to go here, we're going to be restarting now. Don't think it's unlikely that we will see a wreck on that 2 to go lap and end up going into overtime. And I definitely think these drivers know what's at stake. And I definitely think we might see an incident, but also think these drivers also want to get this race over with, and especially Keith Bradley at the front of this field wants to get this race over with.
And I'm curious to know if he's going to run away with a huge lead like he normally does on the 23, and so we're going to have to wait and find out, as we should be going double file here this time by, and so it's going to lead to an interesting finish, and I'm very excited for it.
Also excited to see here, Jordan, just exactly what kind of racing we're going to see up front, because we have the 23 of Stephen Thomas restarting outside of the front row here with 2 laps to go. The thing that I'm wondering is he's still on older tires, specifically 5 lap older tires than everybody else at the front of this field. On this restart, Devin Painter is going to be lining up right behind Keith Bradley, I think exactly where he wants to be. How willing is Devin Painter to take it 3 wide? And what can Raul Meza do from P4? Jeffrey Sickles is still up here. Robbie Richards, they're not going to have a ton of time, but they also need to make sure they don't get held up by these drivers on worn tires at the front of this field to have a run for the race win.
You know, they're going to have to really push their cars to what they really want them to do, and so no matter, like you said, if it's going 3 wide, I can see these drivers wanting to do it, and so it all goes down when we come out of turn 3 and on the front stretch, and so it's going to be a good one and a good finish here from Pocono.
We'll see exactly what is going to happen on this restart. Just an intense finish coming up here, and we're glad all of you are joining us on Racecraft TV, the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, the 8th round, the Tricky Triangle 200 from Pocono. In for an exciting finish and in for a treat at the end of this race from Pocono. Field working their way through turn 2, the tunnel turns, so to speak. They'll work their way down the straightaway into turn 3, and Keith Bradley up front definitely is the truck to beat. But we have seen dominant drivers at the end of races here in this series end up losing. Will that be the same fate for Keith Bradley? The 18 trying to go 2 wins in a row in this series. Let's see if he can do just that. He's on the lap pedal. The green flag is back out. It's 2 to go from Pocono, and the 18 at Keith Bradley gets a lightning start at the front of the field, and Painter is caught behind the 23 of Stephen Thomas as they dive into 1. Oh, and going wide is the 64 as well. Painter's gonna fall to Raul Meza now. The top 2 starting to pull away. Make that your race leader, Keith Bradley, as they go into the tunnel turn, Jordan. The gap is already about a half second in between your top 2.
And you can just see that's normal for the 18, so he's just trying to clear the 18 by seconds on seconds. And so, Josh, we've seen this all night. You can see from the back of that 18 machine, the 23, and how far he is away from him. Josh, we're wanting to go at the line. I'm pretty sure the 18 has got this race in the bag, and he definitely deserves it here at Pocono.
Coming to the line, it is going to be a white flag. 1 final lap to go in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. We will not have a green-white checkered. No caution called. They race back to turn number 1. Bradley leads now by 0.8 of a second, almost a full second now at the front of this field. Keith Bradley trying to go 2 in a row. He won 2 weeks ago at the Daytona Road Course. They took a break for Labor Day weekend, and now as he runs his way into turn 3, going to be the only driver this season to go back-to-back, and the 3rd driver this season to have multiple wins. It's Keith Bradley at the line. He's victorious from Pocono. Stephen Thomas comes home 2nd. Devin Painter rallies back for 3rd. But what a win for Keith Bradley. This is going to be a celebration in that number 18 camp tonight, Jordan.
You know, definitely a very well-fought race win for that race tonight. You can see the 23 of Stephen Thomas congratulating him. And so, I will say, Josh, if you get 2nd here tonight, you very well deserve it as long as you fought for it. And a lot of these drivers did. They put on a show for everybody watching live, and a very well-fought race for every single competitor out there on the track tonight.
Just an absolute run there to the finish is all you can describe it as. Everybody going for every possible position. And that concludes the action from Pocono. We have interviews with your top 3 coming up here in a moment, but we're taking a look at your full race results here from Virtual Pocono, and it's Keith Bradley who walks away with the win. Stephen Thomas in 2nd, Devin Painter in 3rd, Raul Meza 4th, Tyler Dittmer gonna round out your top 5. Jeffrey Sickles comes home in 6th, Robbie Richards in 7th, Kyle Hess in 8th, Jesse Schrage in 9th, Taylor Peacock rounding out your top 10. Back from there, Braden LeBoeuf comes home P11. Dana Shepard comes home P12. Jose Luis Rivera P13. Brandon Bullock P14. David Trumbley rounds out your top 15. Chris Cinnamon comes home 16th. Michael McKinnon 17th. Cody Knott 18th. Mikey Williams 19th, with Bill Lester rounding out your top 20. And back from there, it's Eric Zimmerman, Jonathan Munda, and Steve Williams, the 23 drivers who took the green flag here from Virtual Pocono. As we wait for the top 3 to work their way in here, Jordan, just what a race that we saw here from Virtual Pocono. An absolute insane race and an insane finish. We saw strategy, we saw hard racing there at the end, and just what a day from Pocono.
You know, definitely that's going to be one to remember. It's definitely one of my favorite I've even watched before. And so It was a great day to come out to Pocono for a lot of these drivers. A huge congratulations to the 18. Once again, Keith Bradley put on a show for every single person. Everyone out there on the track put on a show for every person watching. And so a huge congratulations to him. And what a night here from Pocono.
And he is continuing to burn it down now on the front straightaway. Great to see from that number 18 machine. He'll park it on the front straightaway. And we will get set and ready to talk with your top 3 finishers. And Keith Bradley going 2 in a row now, setting himself up for a good rest of the season. We'll get Keith Bradley in here with us now. Keith Bradley, 2 in a row. You started P7. Was this second win in a row for you expected, or did you have to fight for this one?
Man, honestly, I had to fight for it. Michael McKinnon was strong. Brady LaBeouf was strong. That last restart kind of worried me there. I didn't know what we were going to do. Well, I take it back, the second restart where we all pitted and everybody stayed out. So, I mean, it worked our way, so I can't be mad about it.
And, of course, as you worked through just the scope of this race, you got up front relatively around stage number 2, but as you were fighting back in the pack, did you feel that you had winning pace that you could go out here and go 2 in a row?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, the truck felt great. We had plenty of speed, I think, and yeah, I mean, I just got comfortable and was hitting my marks perfect every lap.
And now we continue, of course, through this championship. We will work our way to virtual Bristol, the asphalt Bristol, now in 1 week's time. Can you make it 3 in a row and continue just this insane momentum in this series as we work our way to other tracks on the calendar?
I'm hoping so. Right now, we're really making a big statement, and them guys forgot about us in the points there, and we're coming. We're coming on hard, and I really want to give a shout out to the Buddy Project for sponsoring this season. John Hedrick over at Overtop Designs, he's killing it with these paints, and he killed it with this one tonight. And glad we can park this 911 truck in Victory Lane.
Thank you for joining us in the broadcast booth post-race. Keith, congratulations on this race win.
Thank you, guys.
Good to hear from Keith Bradley. We'll now transition over to driver that finished in P2 tonight, Stephen Thomas, in the number 23. He joins us in the broadcast booth now. Stephen, it was a hard-fought battle. You had some late race strategy there with staying out under that yellow flag. It ultimately panned out to finish P2, but I'm willing to bet you wanted that P1 very badly.
Yeah, it really wasn't a strategy so much as, if you remember, I got into an issue with Jose, I believe, somebody, and I had to go in the pit and get tires. So when everybody else went in that last caution, stage 3 or second to last caution, I wasn't able to go in and get tires. So I was actually really worried about dropping back a lot more than I did. So after the race I had, man, I am super, super pumped about P2.
And, of course, you come into today with just a little bit south of a 100-point gap between yourself and Robbie Richards there, first and second place in the point standings. As this season progresses, of course, you're going to just further extend now that points lead at the top of the field. Can you continue this? And with the reset going into the playoffs, can you just continue this solid momentum? Because you lead the points by a lot, but only 1 win under your belt so far from Gateway a couple of rounds ago.
Yeah, we only have 1 win, man, but we're going to try to be consistent throughout the whole season, man. I'm pretty sure I finished top 5 every race but 1 or 2 maybe. So we're just going to try to keep that up and hope that we can the rest of the season.
Bristol in 1 week's time. Can you get that second win from the last great Coliseum?
I don't know about all that. I'm just glad to have a good lead going into Bristol. That's for sure. Before I jump off here, though, man, I want to say that this was a cool thing we did as far as all the tribute trucks for the 911. Man, I had a good time making my paint, and I'm sure everybody else did too. So I want to say that was awesome there.
Thank you very much for joining us post-race here, Stephen. Congratulations on your second place from Pocono.
Thank you, sir.
We'll now speak with your third place finisher on the day, Devin Painter. He joins us now here in the broadcast booth. Devin, it was an uphill battle for you all day. It seemed like you were always up front, just couldn't get that lead, and seemed like a magnet out there for the wall.
Yeah, the first time was all my fault. I just got real tight off the tunnel turn and put it in the wall, and then that kind of put me behind from there. But just really surprised to come away with a third here after all the adversity I had to come through.
And talking about that adversity, you have been a very strong competitor, but it seems like every single round you're faced with this adversity. Tonight seemed like a better round than most for you in terms of that adversity and overcoming it to get a podium finish here. Is this signs of the future for that 64 team that you can just continue some steady momentum, and even if you get knocked down midway through the race, that you can build yourself back up and get those good finishes?
Yeah, definitely pretty confident about being able to overcome any kind of obstacles that come my way. Seems like it's always something, but no matter what, we're always able to have speed and get towards the front, and we haven't got a win yet, but I feel like one's coming, and with some short tracks coming, I really like short tracks. So hopefully no issues, and maybe I'll get my first win there.
And of course, going into Bristol, what's your confidence there, and what's your confidence for the remainder of the season? Because it's a bit all over the place when it comes to the schedule. It's short track, intermediate, super speedway, and then 2 short tracks, then 2 intermediates, and then right back to a super speedway. Bit interesting as we go into the playoffs as well. What is your thoughts on the schedule, and can you keep steady momentum in a variety of different racetracks?
Yeah, I think I feel pretty confident about the schedule. You know, like you said, it's all over the place, but I don't really feel like I have a particular weakness. Just hopefully I can just, if I just avoid some of the mistakes, either my own doing or getting caught up in somebody else's mess, if I can just have a nice clean race, I think I can get that first win, hopefully a few wins by the end of the season.
Thank you so much for joining us here post-race. Devin, congratulations on the third place from Pocono.
All right, thank you.
Good to hear from your top 3 finishers here from Virtual Pocono. And Jordan, final thoughts. Bristol in 1 week's time, that is bound to be exciting.
You know, definitely it's a short track, and it's really, really fast when it wants to be. So anything can happen at Bristol, and it's probably one of my favorite racetracks to watch. So I can't wait for a week's time.
We hope to see you in 1 week's time from Virtual Bristol when we go racing. For now, we are signing off from Virtual Pocono. For Brady LaBeouf at the North American Sim Racing Association, for Josh Edmondson at Racecraft TV, cameras by Istvan Ballo. For my colleague in the booth, Jordan Hicks, my name is Joshua Lee. Thank you so much for tuning into live coverage of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series from the Virtual Pocono Raceway. And we hope to see you in 1 week's time from Virtual Bristol as the championship continues for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Thank you and good night from Virtual Pocono.